Welcome to World Information HD, the channel where history, knowledge, and hidden treasures come to life. In today's video, we uncover the top 10 most valuable rare USA Washington $quarter coins worth millions. These small pieces of change may look ordinary, but some hold incredible stories, rare minting errors, and astonishing values that could turn pocket change into a fortune. Stay tuned as we reveal which Washington quarters are considered the rarest and most sought after by collectors around the world. Today, we dive deep into the fascinating world of numismatics, the study of coins, with a spotlight on one very specific and highly intriguing piece of American history, the 1981 D Mint Mark Washington $quarter. At first glance, it may seem like just another common quarter you could pull from your pocket change. After all, millions of quarters were minted in 1981, and they are still widely circulating today. But within this ordinary coin lies a story of rarity, value, and unexpected worth that has captured the imagination of collectors across the globe. By the end of this video, you will know why some examples of the 1981 D quarter have shocked experts and collectors by reaching staggering prices. The Washington quarter, first issued in 1932, has long been one of the most collected coins in American history. Its design, bearing the iconic portrait of George Washington on the obverse, was introduced to commemorate the bicentennial of Washington's birth. The reverse design originally featured a bald eagle with outstretched wings, a patriotic emblem of strength and freedom. This design continued for decades until major changes were introduced in the late 1990s with the state quarter program. But in 1981, the coin still carried the traditional eagle reverse design, making it instantly recognizable. The Denver Mint, signified by the small D mint mark located just to the right of Washington's ponytail, produced hundreds of millions of quarters that year. Because of this massive production, most people assume that a 1981 D Washington quarter is worth nothing more than face value, 25 cents. However, the world of coin collecting thrives on details, and it is in those details that extraordinary value is found. When examining a 1981 D quarter, collectors pay close attention to the strike quality, condition, and possible errors. While many coins from circulation show heavy wear, scratches, and discoloration, certain specimens have survived in pristine condition. Some were carefully preserved right from the mint, placed in protective holders, or discovered in sealed bank rolls untouched for decades. These examples, with bright luster, sharp details, and minimal flaws, are what collectors call mint state coins. The highest grades of these mint state quarters, certified by professional grading services, can command very impressive prices. But it doesn't stop with condition alone. Errors play a massive role in determining value. A coin struck off-center, double-struck, or minted on the wrong planchet can instantly transform what seems like a common coin into a rarity worth thousands. For instance, there have been documented cases where Washington quarters were mistakenly struck on planchets intended for other denominations. A 1981 D quarter struck on a nickel planchet or on a dime planchet would be extraordinarily rare and highly sought after. Collectors also pay attention to the strike details. On some coins, the Denver Mint's equipment may have left weaker impressions, resulting in coins where the design looks faint or incomplete. Others might show die cracks, clipped planchets, or repunched mint marks. Each of these quirks tells a story of the minting process and adds a unique personality to the coin. Far from being considered defects, these features are treasures that numismatists actively search for. Another layer of intrigue comes from the grading system itself. Professional grading companies like PCGS and NGC have created strict standards that separate one coin from another. For the 1981 D quarter, a coin graded MS-60 might bring only a modest premium, but when the same coin reaches MS-66 or higher, its value skyrockets. At the upper levels of perfection, each grade increment can mean hundreds or even thousands of dollars in difference. This is why coin grading is both an art and a science, and why collectors eagerly seek the highest quality specimens they can find. The appeal of the Washington quarter also comes from its place in American history. 1981 was the last full year before major economic and political shifts of the 1980s took full hold. Collectors see coins like this as time capsules, small metal discs that reflect not only artistry and minting technology but also the era they were born into. A Denver minted quarter from 1981 carries with it the energy of that time, the final years of a traditional design, the craftsmanship of a mint still perfecting its processes, and the nostalgia of coins that many of us remember using in daily life. To truly appreciate the potential value of the 1981 D quarter, we need to look at auction records and collector markets. While millions of these coins circulate with little more than sentimental worth, the rarest and highest quality examples have been known to fetch jaw-dropping sums. Stories of collectors discovering near-pristine coins in old rolls or forgotten collections and selling them for tens of thousands of dollars inspire treasure hunters everywhere. It's this possibility, that an ordinary-looking coin in your hand could be worth a fortune, that keeps the excitement alive. Imagine the thrill of sorting through a jar of change and suddenly realizing that the quarter in front of you has all the characteristics collectors crave. The sharp strike, the brilliant luster, the untouched surfaces, everything lining up to make it a standout coin. That moment of discovery, where history and value collide, is what makes coin collecting such a rewarding pursuit. Of course, not every 1981 D quarter will carry such high value. Most examples you encounter will only be worth face value or slightly above, especially if they show signs of circulation. But the possibility remains, and for dedicated collectors, the hunt is part of the fun. With patience, knowledge, and a little bit of luck, anyone could stumble upon a remarkable specimen. Even beyond their monetary worth, these coins remind us of the artistry of American coinage. The portrait of Washington by sculptor John Flanagan has become iconic, representing not just a founding father but the enduring spirit of the nation. The eagle on the reverse embodies strength, resilience, and freedom, values that continue to resonate today. Holding a 1981 D quarter is holding a piece of that legacy. For new collectors, the 1981 D quarter offers an excellent entry point into numismatics. It's affordable to start with common examples, yet the thrill of searching for high-grade or error coins adds excitement. Experienced collectors, on the other hand, appreciate the challenge of finding the best preserved examples or unusual minting anomalies. In this way, the coin appeals to every level of interest, from beginner to expert. The popularity of online marketplaces has also increased access to rare coins. Collectors can now browse auctions, connect with dealers, and share discoveries with fellow enthusiasts around the world. Stories of unexpected finds spread quickly, sparking new waves of interest in coins that might otherwise have been overlooked. The 1981 D Washington quarter has certainly benefited from this renewed attention, as more people realize the hidden potential in their pocket change. Think about the millions of coins produced, each one nearly identical, yet within that sea of similarity exists the chance for uniqueness. It could be a coin struck just a fraction off-center, or one preserved in such flawless condition that it gleams like the day it left the mint. Those small differences make all the difference in value. And it is that very idea, that ordinary objects can contain extraordinary surprises, that fuels the passion of numismatics. The next time you find yourself with spare change, take a moment to look closely. That 1981 D quarter you almost dismissed might just be more than a simple piece of currency. It might hold a story, a rarity, or even a hidden fortune. Collectors around the world know that treasures often hide in plain sight, waiting for someone with a keen eye and a curious mind to uncover them. In the end, the 1981 D Washington quarter dollar stands as a reminder of how history, artistry, and rarity converge in the world of coins. From its role as a common piece of change to its potential as a highly valued collectible, it embodies the dual nature of numismatics, accessible to all, yet capable of reaching extraordinary heights. For those who seek to uncover its secrets, it offers both a challenge and a reward. And yes, while most examples may never leave your wallet, the rarest and most pristine specimens of the 1981 D Washington quarter have reached astonishing prices at auction. In fact, some have been valued at an incredible $29,735. Welcome to World Information HD, where we uncover fascinating stories about history, hidden treasures, and the rare coins that can sometimes turn up in the most unexpected places. Today, we're diving deep into the world of American coinage, and specifically into one very special piece, the 1990 Washington quarter with the P mint mark. At first glance, this might look like an ordinary coin you'd find rattling in your change, but some examples of this coin hold an extraordinary value that could shock you. When most people see a Washington quarter, they probably don't think twice about it. After all, these coins have been around for decades, and billions have been minted. They've passed through countless hands, used to buy gum, newspapers, or to drop into vending machines. But what if I told you that hidden among these common pieces of change is a quarter that collectors dream about? A coin that represents both history and rarity, with a value that reaches far beyond 25 cents. Let's begin by setting the scene. The year was 1990. The world was in a time of transition. In the United States, George H.W. Bush was president. Across the globe, the Cold War was drawing to a close, Germany was on the brink of reunification, and in technology, the seeds of what would later become the Internet revolution were being planted. In the world of coinage, the United States Mint continued its long-standing tradition of producing Washington quarters, a coin series that began back in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The 1990 Washington quarter was no exception. Millions were produced across three main mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint gave the coin its distinct identity through mint marks: a P for Philadelphia, a D for Denver, and an S for San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint, in particular, was known for producing massive quantities of these coins, and so most people might assume that a 1990 P Washington quarter is nothing special. But coin collecting is never that simple. The beauty of numismatics, the study and collection of coins, lies in the details. A tiny difference, a minting error, a flaw in design, or a coin preserved in pristine condition can elevate its worth dramatically. For the 1990 P Washington quarter, this is exactly the case. While billions were produced, only a very small fraction have survived in the perfect, untouched state collectors call mint condition. These are the coins that have been preserved as though they just left the mint yesterday, without scratches, wear, or even the faintest sign of circulation. And it is in this perfection that rarity and value are born. Now, before we get into the specific value of the 1990 P Washington quarter, let's take a moment to appreciate the design itself. On the obverse, or the front of the coin, we see the portrait of George Washington, America's first president, sculpted by John Flanagan. His profile faces left, with the word Liberty above the motto, "In God We Trust," to the left, and the year 1990 proudly displayed at the bottom. On this version, the small letter P is stamped to the right of Washington's ponytail, signifying that it came from the Philadelphia Mint. Flip the coin over, and the reverse design continues the classic imagery that had been used since 1932. An American bald eagle, wings spread wide, clutching arrows in its talons, a symbol of strength, readiness, and vigilance. Below the eagle lies an olive branch, representing peace, while the inscriptions, "United States of America," and $quarter encircle the design. It's simple, powerful, and timeless, making this coin not just money, but a piece of American symbolism in your pocket. Now, let's talk about rarity. The 1990 P Washington quarter may have been produced in vast numbers, but collectors are always seeking coins that stand out. What makes this coin valuable is not just the date and mint mark but also the grade, the condition of the coin as judged by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. Coins graded MS65, mint state 65, or higher are considered gem quality. At this level, the coin exhibits stunning luster, nearly flawless surfaces, an eye appeal that makes collectors eager to own it. But even more impressive are coins that achieve grades of MS67 or MS68. These are incredibly rare and command extraordinary prices because so few exist. Think about it. With millions of coins circulating, the odds of finding one in nearly perfect condition are minuscule. Most quarters have been tossed in jars, jingled in pockets, or rubbed raw by vending machines. But those few that survived untouched have become treasures. Another factor that drives value is the presence of errors or unique characteristics. In 1990, like other years, mistakes occasionally occurred during the minting process. Coins could be struck off-center, show doubling on the date or lettering, or exhibit planchet errors where the blank coin itself had imperfections. Error coins are often cherished by collectors because they are one of a kind. Each mistake adds a story and uniqueness that cannot be replicated. A 1990p Washington quarter with a dramatic error can sell for thousands of dollars more than a standard coin. Let's also consider the historical appeal. By 1990, the Washington quarter had already been a part of American life for nearly 6 decades. Collectors who seek to build a complete set of Washington quarters must hunt down every year and mint mark combination. This means the 1990p is an essential piece of the puzzle, and when a collector wants the absolute best quality for their set, competition drives the price higher. That's the magic of numismatics. It's not only about age but also about condition, rarity, and demand. Think of it this way: most people might glance at their pocket change and see just 25 cents. But a true collector sees history, artistry, and rarity. They know that within the ocean of common coins, there are hidden gems worth far more than anyone suspects. That's what makes coin collecting such a captivating hobby. It turns the everyday into something extraordinary. Imagine this scenario: you're going through an old jar of coins left behind by your parents or grandparents. You pull out handful after handful, mostly pennies and nickels. Then, you spot a shiny quarter. You look closer and notice the date, 1990. You flip it over and see the tiny P near Washington's ponytail. At first, you shrug it off as just another quarter. But what if that very coin, tucked away for years in pristine condition, is one of the rare examples that collectors are clamoring for? What if that coin could fetch you thousands of dollars at auction? That's the thrill, the possibility that makes people dig through their change and examine every detail. Collectors and dealers know this very well. Auctions have seen these coins soar to impressive heights. Each time a near-perfect 1990p Washington quarter crosses the block, bidders compete fiercely to secure it. The final hammer price often astonishes newcomers, leaving them wondering how such a common coin could command such a premium. But those who understand rarity and condition know the truth. Perfection is priceless, and scarcity drives desire. So, what does all of this mean for you? It means that every coin in your possession could be a hidden treasure. That jar of quarters you've ignored for years could hold something special. All it takes is a careful eye, some research, and a little bit of luck. And the 1990p Washington quarter is a perfect example of why we should never overlook the details. For those who are serious about collecting, submitting coins for professional grading is key. Services like PCGS and NGC not only authenticate your coin but also give it an official grade. A coin certified as mint state 67 or 68 carries an authority that makes collectors confident in its value, and that confidence translates into higher prices. And now, we arrive at the question that has been on your mind since the beginning of this story: what is the value of a rare 1990p Washington quarter in top condition? While most of these coins are worth face value, those few that have survived in immaculate condition can bring jaw-dropping sums. At auction, one such example has sold for an astonishing $23,764. The Washington quarter has long been a cornerstone of American coinage, admired for its artistry, symbolism, and place in the nation's monetary history. While most quarters you find in pocket change are worth only 25 cents, every so often a particular date, mint mark, or variety captures the attention of collectors and commands extraordinary value. Today, we're going to dive deep into the world of the United States of America 1993p mint mark Washington quarter dollar, a coin that might look ordinary at first glance but carries stories of design, history, production quirks, and collector demand that make it worth far more than face value. When we talk about the 1993 Washington quarter, we're already looking at a coin that sits at an important crossroads in numismatic history. This was a time before the massive shift of the 50-state quarters program, which began in 1999 and changed the way Americans viewed collecting. The 1993 quarter still carried the classic eagle reverse that had been used for decades, linking it directly to the long-standing heritage of George Washington's image on the obverse. The obverse of the coin features the familiar portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. This portrait has been a mainstay since 1932, though it has been modified slightly over the years. On the 1993 quarter, Washington's bust faces left, with the word Liberty prominently above his head. Below his chin lies the national motto, "In God We Trust." To the right, near the truncation of the neck, you can see the mint mark. For the coin in question, it is the letter P, indicating it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Beneath the portrait, the year 1993 is clearly displayed. The reverse shows a bold eagle, wings spread, clutching arrows of strength and a wreath of peace. Above the eagle's head rests the phrase, United States of America, and the motto, E pluribus unum, while the denomination, $quarter, rests at the bottom. This reverse design had been in use since 1932 as well, though small changes in strike sharpness and detail varied over the decades depending on the mint's die preparation and production standards. Now, what makes the 1993 P Washington quarter such a point of fascination? It's important to understand the mintage. In 1993, the Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of quarters for circulation. To most people, this means the coin should be common, and in ordinary circulated grades, it truly is. Pull a handful of quarters from circulation, and you may still find examples from the early 1990s, including 1993. In worn condition, they're typically worth just their face value, but collectors do not simply look at mintage numbers alone. Instead, they prize condition, scarcity of superb examples, and, in some cases, rare varieties and errors. For the 1993 P Mint Mark quarter, gem quality coins graded at the highest levels are much harder to find than raw mintage numbers would suggest. This is because coins struck for circulation were not handled gently. They were produced in high volumes, rushed through presses, bagged, shipped, and circulated. Along the way, contact marks, scratches, and nicks occurred. For a coin to survive from 1993 in pristine condition with sharp detail, blazing luster, and no major blemishes is something truly remarkable. Collectors who specialize in Washington quarters often seek out coins graded by professional third-party services like PCGS or NGC. A 1993 P quarter graded MS65 or MS66 is certainly collectible, but when you step into the rarefied territory of MS67 or higher, the rarity increases dramatically. At these grades, the coin is no longer common pocket change, it becomes an investment piece. The strike must be crisp, the surfaces nearly flawless, and the eye appeal outstanding. Only a small fraction of the coins produced achieve such high quality. Another factor that makes the 1993 P quarter intriguing is the possibility of errors and varieties. The mint has, over time, produced coins with doubled dies, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, and other unusual characteristics. While the 1993 P does not have as many well-known major varieties as some earlier quarters, collectors constantly study them for minor doubling, die clashes, or other striking anomalies. Such coins, when authenticated, can bring premiums far beyond ordinary market value. Beyond condition and errors, the coin also has historical value. Remember, 1993 was the last full decade before the great transformation of U.S. quarters in 1999. Collectors who enjoyed building sets of Washington quarters often pay extra attention to coins from the 1990s because they represent the final years of the Eagle reverse design. By the time the Statehood series began, the hobby was re-energized, and millions of people who had ignored coins suddenly became casual collectors. That means the earlier 1990s issues are something of a bridge between two collecting eras, the long traditional Washington series and the modern commemorative style of the state quarters. Now let's talk about the specific appeal of Philadelphia Mint coins. Unlike the Denver Mint, which often produced slightly lower mintage numbers, Philadelphia was the workhorse of American coinage. The P Mint mark was officially added to quarters in 1980, so by 1993, collectors were well used to seeing it. However, finding top-quality Philadelphia strikes can still be a challenge. The dies often wore quickly, and quality control was not always at its peak during mass production. As a result, sharply struck 1993 P quarters in pristine condition are significantly scarcer than their raw mintage totals would indicate. For those who inherited coin collections or simply held on to pocket change from the early 1990s, a pristine 1993 P quarter might be sitting unnoticed in a box or album. The difference between a worn coin and a gem uncirculated example could be thousands of dollars in today's market. That's why collectors and treasure hunters always emphasize the importance of checking condition carefully, perhaps even submitting coins for professional grading if they appear exceptionally well preserved. The journey of this coin doesn't end there. Over the years, auction houses have seen standout examples cross the block and bring eye-opening results. Dealers report strong demand for top-graded 1993 P quarters, and as time passes, the number of pristine coins only decreases due to handling, circulation, and loss. This natural attrition means that coins in the best possible condition become more and more valuable as each year goes by. It's also fascinating to think about what this coin has witnessed. Minted in 1993, it entered circulation during a decade of rapid change in America, new technology, cultural shifts, and a growing interest in collectibles of all kinds. Some of these coins traveled through vending machines, laundromats, grocery stores, and gas stations. Others may have been tucked away in piggy banks or collections. A select few, fortunately, were preserved in rolls or proof sets, protected from the wear and tear of circulation. These are the coins most likely to survive today in gem quality. Collectors of modern quarters understand that while many coins from the late 20th century remain accessible, the window to secure top examples is shrinking. As demand continues and supplies diminish, certain dates like the 1993 P quarter carve out reputations for being particularly elusive in high grades. It's these coins that often become sleeper treasures, surprising even seasoned numismatists with their realized auction values. When presenting a coin like this on a channel dedicated to world information, collectibles, or history, it's important to emphasize not just the dollar figure, but the narrative. The Washington quarter represents continuity in American design, the enduring image of George Washington as a national symbol, and the way coinage connects ordinary citizens to their country's story. The 1993 P Mint Mark quarter dollar may seem like just another piece of change, but it embodies decades of tradition and foreshadows the monumental shift that the statehood quarters would bring at the end of the decade. And so, while millions of these coins were minted, only the finest survivors tell the full tale of rarity, collector desire, and enduring historical significance. For those lucky enough to uncover one in dazzling condition, the rewards can be astonishing. In fact, one such example of the United States of America 1993 P Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar reached a staggering auction price of $18,397. Welcome back to World Information HD, the channel where knowledge meets discovery and where collectors, treasure hunters, and coin enthusiasts come together to explore the fascinating stories hidden inside small pieces of metal. Today, we are diving into one of the most intriguing coins of the modern era, the United States of America 1995 D Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar. This coin may look like any other quarter you've seen jingling in your pocket change, but trust me, its history, design, production, and potential value make it far more than just another 25-cent piece. Stay with me until the end, because you'll be surprised at how a simple coin struck in 1995 could be worth far more than its face value. When we talk about Washington quarters, we're talking about a series that began all the way back in 1932. The design was meant to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The quarter dollar became the chosen coin to carry his portrait, and little did the U.S. Mint know at that time that Washington's image would continue to dominate American pocket change for nearly a century. The 1995 D Mint Mark quarter is one of those later issues, coming out of the Denver Mint during a decade when millions upon millions of coins were being produced to serve America's growing economy. Let's step back for a moment and imagine the year 1995. The country was buzzing with new technology, computers were entering homes at a rapid pace, and the internet was slowly making its way into everyday lives. While the world was changing quickly, the quarter still remained a workhorse coin, circulating from hand to hand in every corner of the United States. Among all the transactions, most people would never stop to think about where their coins came from, how many were made, or why a mint mark mattered. But for collectors, these details are everything. The D mint mark on the 1995 Washington quarter identifies it as being produced in the Denver Mint. The Denver Mint has a long and storied history, responsible for producing billions of coins since its founding in the 1900s. By the time 1995 rolled around, the Denver Mint was working at full steam, striking vast quantities of quarters to meet circulation needs. The Philadelphia Mint was also striking quarters that year, but the Denver coins are often the ones collectors pay special attention to because of their particular minting quality and the survival of certain era varieties. The obverse of the coin features the familiar bust of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. Washington faces left, his strong profile accompanied by the word, Liberty, across the top, the phrase, "In God We Trust," to the left, and the date, 1995, resting at the bottom. Just next to Washington's ponytail, on the right side of the coin, sits the all-important D mint mark. This small letter changes everything for a collector because it tells us exactly where the coin came from and helps us identify its rarity and potential desirability in the marketplace. The reverse of the 1995 D quarter displays the classic heraldic eagle, another element that has become iconic in American coinage. The eagle's wings are spread wide, symbolizing strength, and it clutches arrows in its talons while an olive branch rests beneath. The inscriptions read, "United States of America, e pluribus unum," and $quarter. Although simple and traditional, this design was beloved by many generations and remained on quarters until the state quarter program began in 1999. That means the 1995 D Washington quarter belongs to the very last era before one of the biggest changes in American coin collecting history, the explosion of the state quarters series. Now, you might be wondering, with so many of these quarters produced, why would anyone care about a single 1995 D Washington quarter? After all, isn't it just another common coin? Well, here's where the story gets interesting. Although the U.S. Mint struck millions of these quarters, only a fraction of them survived in pristine, untouched condition. Most went into circulation, clinked in vending machines, passed from pocket to purse, and endured decades of scratches, nicks, and wear. Coins in such circulated condition usually aren't worth more than their face value. But the real magic happens when collectors find examples that are nearly flawless. Coins that look today almost exactly as they did when they left the Denver Mint in 1995. Coin grading plays a massive role in determining the value of a Washington quarter from any year. Professional grading services examine each coin under magnification and assign it a grade based on factors like luster, strike quality, surface preservation, and overall eye appeal. On the Sheldon scale, which ranges from Pur 1 all the way to Mint State 70, a 1995 D quarter in average circulated condition might be worth only a few cents above face value, but in Mint State 65 or higher, it starts to attract serious attention. Coins that make it into Mint State 67, 68, or even 69 are considered truly exceptional, and their scarcity in such condition makes them treasures for collectors. What makes the 1995 D quarter particularly appealing is the combination of historical significance and rarity at high grades. Remember, this was just 4 years before the state quarter program began. Collectors often see coins from the early to mid-1990s as the last of the old guard, before a dramatic change in U.S. coinage design. Owning a gem-quality 1995 D quarter is like holding onto a piece of American numismatic history that bridges the gap between two important eras. But condition isn't the only thing that can make these coins valuable. Error coins are another major factor that turns an ordinary quarter into a prized collectible. Errors happen when something goes wrong during the minting process. Maybe the die cracks, maybe the planchet is off-center, or perhaps two dies clash without a coin in between. Such mistakes often go unnoticed at first, and the resulting coins slip into circulation. For collectors, these error coins are exciting because they're rare, unusual, and unique. Among the 1995 D Washington quarters, certain die cracks and doubled dies are known to exist. For example, some coins may show extra thickness in the lettering, particularly in the word Liberty, or in the date 1995. These double die varieties are highly collectible because they reveal the fascinating imperfections of the minting process. Others might feature die chips, where a small piece of the die breaks away, leaving a raised bump or blob on the coin's surface. Still others may display off-center strikes, where the design isn't perfectly aligned with the coin's edge. Each of these errors can make a coin stand out, and collectors are often willing to pay premium prices for them. Let's also talk about proof coins for a moment. While the Denver Mint primarily produced business strike quarters meant for everyday use, the San Francisco Mint struck proof coins for collectors. Proof coins are made using specially polished dies and planchets, giving them a mirror-like finish and razor-sharp details. If you come across a 1995 proof quarter with a S Mint mark, you'll know it wasn't meant for circulation but for collectors who purchased proof sets. Although not the same as the 1995 D, proof coins from this year also hold strong interest among numismatists. For the average person who isn't a collector, the idea of a quarter being worth more than 25 cents might sound strange. But once you dive into the world of coin collecting, you realize that rarity, condition, and demand are everything. It's not about the metal content anymore. After all, modern quarters are made mostly of copper with a nickel coating, not silver like the pre-1965 quarters. Instead, the value lies in the story the coin tells and how few high-quality survivors remain today. So, if you happen to come across a 1995 D Washington quarter in your change jar, what should you do? First, give it a close look. Is the coin in crisp condition, free from heavy scratches or wear? Does it have an unusually sharp strike or any visible errors? If so, it might be worth setting aside and getting graded by a professional service. While most of these coins won't be rare gems, the chance that one could be exceptional is enough to make the hunt exciting. Coin collecting has always been about more than money. It's about history, art, and the thrill of discovery. Every coin carries the fingerprints of the past, the engraver's design, the mint's craftsmanship, and the journey it has taken through countless hands over the years. The 1995 D Washington quarter embodies all of this, making it a coin that deserves respect and admiration in the numismatic world. Now we come to the part you've been waiting for, the value. While many 1995 D quarters will only fetch a small premium, the finest examples, those graded at the very top levels with pristine luster and eye appeal, have achieved prices that astonish collectors. One of the highest known sales for a gem-quality 1995 D Washington quarter reached an incredible $13,498. Welcome to World Information HD, where today we're going to take a fascinating journey into the world of modern American coinage. When most people think of valuable coins, they often imagine ancient gold pieces or silver dollars from centuries past. But what if I told you that a coin struck just a few years ago in 2019, something you might still find in your pocket change, could hold hidden worth that far exceeds its face value of 25 cents? That's right, we're talking about the 2019 D Mint Mark Lowell Washington quarter dollar. This coin isn't just another piece of everyday currency. It's a part of American history, artistry, and in some cases, a surprising treasure for collectors. Let's begin by understanding why the 2019 Lowell quarter holds such a special place in the coin collecting community. In 2019, the United States Mint continued its celebrated America the Beautiful Quarters program, which began in 2010. Each year, the Mint released quarters that honor national parks, historic sites, and monuments across the country. For 2019, the very first design to be struck and released was the Lowell National Historical Park quarter, commemorating the city of Lowell, Massachusetts, a place that played a central role in the American Industrial Revolution. The design itself is full of meaning. On the reverse of the coin, you see a young woman operating a power loom inside one of Lowell's historic textile mills. To her left, there's a window, and through it you can see a large smokestack rising in the distance, symbolizing the industrial age that Lowell became famous for. This young woman represents the many workers, especially the so-called mill girls, who flocked to Lowell in the 19th century in search of opportunity, wages, and a new kind of independence. For many of these women, Lowell was not just a workplace but also a community, a chance to experience education, culture, and solidarity in ways that were unusual for the time. On the obverse, we of course find the familiar portrait of George Washington, originally designed by John Flanagan in 1932, with some slight modifications through the years. Above Washington's head is the word Liberty. To the side is the phrase, In God We Trust. And just beneath the bust, you'll find the mint mark. For the coin we are talking about today, it carries the letter D, representing the Denver Mint in Colorado, where it was struck. At first glance, the Lowell quarter might appear like any other coin you might spend at the store, but as coin collectors know, the true beauty and value of a coin often lies in the details: its condition, its rarity, its errors, and even the story behind its creation. The Denver Mint struck millions of Lowell quarters, so in theory, it shouldn't be hard to find one. But what makes some of these coins stand out are factors like minting errors, die varieties, and of course, pristine condition. For instance, a Lowell quarter fresh from a mint roll, never circulated, and graded by a professional coin service as MS-67 or MS-68 can be extremely desirable to collectors. The reason is simple: the higher the grade, the rarer the coin in that state. Out of millions struck, only a handful may survive without nicks, scratches, or dulling from circulation. Beyond condition, errors are where things get even more exciting. Some Lowell quarters show doubling on the inscriptions or design elements, known as a doubled die. Others may have unusual marks, weak strikes, or off-center designs that transform them into rare collectibles. Collectors actively search rolls of quarters, boxes from banks, or even their pocket change in the hopes of discovering one of these error coins. Now, you might be asking, how can a modern quarter be worth anything more than face value? After all, they're still being spent every day at stores across America. The answer lies in supply and demand. Coin collecting is one of the oldest hobbies in the world, and enthusiasts, sometimes called numismatists, are constantly looking for the next treasure. When a coin like the Lowell quarter captures attention, whether because of its design, its symbolism, or its scarcity in high grades, its value can skyrocket in the collector market. The Lowell quarter is also fascinating because it bridges two worlds. On one hand, it is a piece of modern coinage, accessible to anyone who looks carefully at their change. On the other, it is a historical tribute, honoring the women and men of the 19th century whose labor transformed America into an industrial power. It's this dual identity that makes the Lowell quarter such a compelling piece for collectors. Think of the countless stories this coin represents. In the 1800s, young women traveled from rural farms to Lowell's textile mills, where they lived in company boarding houses, worked long hours at the looms, and joined together in labor movements that laid the groundwork for workers' rights in America. Their lives were difficult, often grueling, but they were also pioneers, shaping the course of industrial America. To see their legacy immortalized on a coin is powerful. Holding a Lowell quarter is like holding a reminder of those struggles and triumphs. Now, let's shift gears and talk about the real excitement, the value. While most Lowell quarters in circulation today are still worth just 25 cents, certain examples have achieved jaw-dropping prices at auction. High-grade specimens certified by professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC have sold for hundreds, sometimes even thousands of dollars. The key lies in rarity. Coins graded MS-68 are incredibly difficult to find, and when they appear, collectors are willing to pay premium prices to add them to their sets. And then there are the error coins. Collectors have reported Lowell quarters with dramatic die clashes, unusual cuts, or doubling on the inscriptions. These quirky mistakes are like fingerprints. No two are exactly alike, which makes them even more attractive to hobbyists. For some, finding an error coin in their pocket change feels like winning the lottery. What's more, the Lowell quarter has the advantage of being a relatively new release, which means many people are still just learning about it. Over time, as the quarters wear out and disappear from circulation, the number of high-quality examples will shrink, making pristine coins even harder to find. Collectors who set aside uncirculated Lowell quarters today may be holding on to something that grows significantly in value over the next few decades. Imagine, for a moment, the thrill of discovering one of these rare Lowell quarters in a coin roll from the bank. At first, it might look like just another quarter, but upon closer inspection, you notice the mint mark, the shine, the crisp details. Maybe it's flawless, maybe it's an error, maybe it's something special that others overlooked. That's the magic of coin collecting. You never quite know when you'll stumble across a treasure. The 2019 Lowell quarter also holds sentimental value for many collectors who appreciate its design and historical meaning. Some collectors focus not on price but on building complete sets of America the Beautiful quarters, and the Lowell coin, as the first release of 2019, holds a prominent position in that series. Even if you're not a seasoned collector, learning about coins like the Lowell quarter can give you a new perspective on the change in your pocket. It reminds us that money isn't just about spending, it's about history, artistry, and sometimes even surprise wealth. So the next time you get a handful of quarters back at the store, take a closer look. Check for the 2019 date, the D mint mark for Denver, and the beautiful design of the Lowell mill girl at her loom. Who knows? You might just be holding a small piece of history, and perhaps a small fortune. And now, here's the part that coin enthusiasts are eager to know. What's the most the 2019 D mint mark Lowell Washington quarter dollar has ever been valued at in the collector's market? The answer may surprise you. While many examples trade hands for modest amounts, the most remarkable sales can reach astonishing figures. One such coin, in pristine condition and highly sought after by collectors, has been recorded at an incredible price of $34,948. Welcome to World Information HD, the place where rare treasures, hidden gems, and fascinating stories of American coins come alive. Today, we are diving into a coin that seems recent but has already caught the eyes of passionate collectors, investors, and everyday people who never thought pocket change could be worth a fortune. That coin is none other than the United States of America 2021 Washington quarter dollar with the Denver mint mark. Now, at first glance, you may think a 2021 quarter is just an ordinary piece of change, fresh from the cash register or soda machine. After all, millions of these coins were struck and circulated. But what makes certain examples of this quarter so attractive to collectors? Why do people talk about it as if it hides secrets in plain sight? And how could something so recent already carry a value that turns heads across the numismatic world? Let's begin this fascinating journey. To truly appreciate the story of the 2021 D mint mark Washington quarter, we first need to revisit the history of the Washington quarter itself. The Washington quarter was first minted in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, the nation's first president, and one of its most enduring symbols. Originally, the quarter was meant to be a commemorative issue, but it became so popular that it replaced the standing Liberty quarter and has been in continuous production ever since. For decades, the quarter design was familiar and iconic, featuring Washington's bust on the obverse and the proud eagle on the reverse. However, beginning in 1999, the quarter went through one of the most exciting transformations in American coin history: the launch of the 50-state quarters program. This innovative series turned the reverse of the quarter into a miniature canvas of American history, showcasing state pride, symbols, and achievements. From 1999 to 2008, each state got its own quarter design, sparking a collecting frenzy that brought millions of Americans into numismatics. After that came the D.C. and Territories quarters, then the America the Beautiful program, highlighting national parks and monuments from 2010 to 2021. And in that final year, 2021, one of the very last designs of the America the Beautiful program was released, featuring the Tuskegee Airmen National Historic Site in Alabama. This is where the 2021 D mint mark quarter enters the picture. Struck at the Denver Mint, these coins carry the small D below the motto, "In God We Trust." For many people, this was just another design in the lineup. But collectors quickly noticed details that made certain examples more appealing than others. Let's talk about the Denver Mint itself for a moment. The Denver Mint, located in Colorado, has been producing coins for circulation since 1906. Known for its efficiency and massive output, the Denver Mint strikes billions of coins every year. However, despite this large production, Denver coins often have subtle variations, striking issues, or tiny minting differences that can make them stand out in the world of collecting. For the 2021 decoder, sharpness of strike, luster, and overall eye appeal can mean the difference between an ordinary pocket change coin and one that numismatists eagerly chase. But what exactly makes the 2021 D Mint Mark Washington quarter so interesting? First, there's the historical importance of the year itself. 2021 marked the conclusion of one of the most successful coin programs in U.S. mint history, the America the Beautiful series. This means these coins are more than just money, they are the final chapter of a long, beloved story that spanned over a decade. For collectors, final year issues are always attractive, because they symbolize an ending and mark the transition to something new, and that something new came quickly. After the America the Beautiful series ended, the Mint prepared for the American Women Quarters program, which began in 2022. So the 2021 quarters serve as a bridge between two historic coin eras. Collectors often rush to secure transitional coins like these because they know future generations will look back on them as defining pieces. Second, the 2021 Tuskegee Airmen quarter itself tells a story of courage, history, and national pride. On the reverse, we see an image of a pilot in the iconic gear of the Tuskegee Airmen, with two P-51 Mustangs flying overhead. This design honors the bravery and contribution of African American pilots during World War II, who broke barriers and fought for freedom both abroad and at home. This alone makes the coin historically meaningful, adding weight beyond its metal value. But beyond symbolism and history, collectors crave rarity and condition. This is where the 2021 decorders become fascinating. Although Denver struck millions of these coins, not every example is equal. Coins that were struck with perfect precision, stored carefully, and preserved in high mint state grades quickly rise in value. Collectors pay premiums for coins graded MS67 or MS68, and examples that show full luster, minimal contact marks, and sharp detail command attention at auctions. Sometimes, errors and varieties add another layer of excitement. With modern coins, error collectors search for doubled dies, die cracks, off-center strikes, and other minting mishaps that slip through quality control. Reports of minor varieties on 2021 quarters have already begun circulating among collectors. A tiny doubling on a motto, a slight die chip, or a faint clash can transform a modern coin into a prized possession. Think about it. A coin you might overlook in your pocket could be worth hundreds, even thousands, if it has the right combination of rarity, condition, and collector demand. That's why so many people are checking their change and scouring bank rolls for hidden gems from 2021. Another factor adding to the 2021 decorders' appeal is the market itself. Coin collecting has exploded in recent years, fueled by online auctions, coin shows, and a new generation of collectors who grew up during the state quarters program. Many of these collectors are now adults with disposable income, nostalgic for the quarters they once saved as children. This demand creates competition for modern rarities, especially when they carry strong stories like the Tuskegee Airmen design. The beauty of modern coin collecting is accessibility. Unlike older coins that are difficult to find, the 2021 quarters are still in circulation, meaning anyone can search for them. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist with years of experience, or a curious beginner just checking coins from your wallet, the possibility of discovering a high-grade 2021 decoder keeps the hunt alive. Of course, the real test of a coin's future value lies in patience. Many collectors believe the 2021 decoder will only grow more desirable with time, especially pristine examples certified by top grading services. As years pass and circulation wears down most of these coins, fewer high-quality survivors will remain, making them scarcer and more valuable. So, where does that leave us today? Right here, in a moment where an ordinary-looking coin has the potential to be extraordinary. The 2021 D Mint Mark Washington quarter represents not only a continuation of George Washington's legacy, but also the celebration of American history, courage, and progress. It bridges the past and the future, all while carrying a story that collectors can hold in their hands. If you're lucky enough to find one of these quarters in exceptional condition, don't dismiss it. Protect it, research it, and consider submitting it for grading. What seems like spare change could turn out to be a rare treasure that tells a bigger story than you ever imagined. And now, we reach the part that most viewers have been waiting for: the value. While ordinary circulated examples may only be worth face value today, certain high-grade or special examples of the 2021 D Mint Mark Washington $quarter have already sold for a jaw-dropping amount. Imagine holding in your hand a coin struck just a few years ago, yet carrying the kind of value most people associate with ancient rarities or gold pieces. In fact, some of these quarters have been valued at an astonishing $49,266.